I guess it's about 2:45, so we'll go ahead and get started, because I know that if you haven't finished putting your cards in the bowls yet, maybe you want to go and have one last chance for a door prize before that happens. So welcome to the session on big data and what it means for your IT shop. My name is Ashley Holmes. I'm an IT supervisor for the city of Winston-Salem. I'm in my 11th year with the city, my 6th year with our IT department. I've been an application developer, project manager, and most recently a supervisor. Full confession, this is not my presentation. My boss, Nancy Brown, was originally slated to give this and had to shuffle things at the last minute, so I'm here giving it for her. So this is her slide deck, this is her PowerPoint, this is her presentation. She left like a couple things for me to add, but so just bear with me as I've had a few days to kind of absorb this myself and try to get into presentation ready mode and get information about this. So let's get started. It's big, Andy, really big. We'll start out with a humorous clip. Anyway, Barney's just saying there's something big happening, if you couldn't hear that. I probably am committing like North Carolina treason, but I don't watch the Andy Griffith show, so I have no idea what they're talking about. But what we're talking about, what is so big, we're gonna be talking about big data. It's in the data center near you. But what is it? What is big data? Well, there are several definitions. If you go out there, if you Google it, you look it up, different people have different opinions of what it is. First definition, Nancy had on here, Wikipedia, they define it as just a term for data sets that are large, so large or so complex that they can't be that traditional data processing apps are inadequate to handle them. They mention the challenges of analysis, capture, search, sharing, storage, visualization, querying, data curation, information processing. Then SAS says it's a term that describes the large volume of data, structured and unstructured, and we'll talk later in the presentation about what structured and unstructured means. That indicates a business on a day-to-day basis. If they say it's not the size of the data that matters, is what you do with it. That is really important. Then we have IBM that says big data is being generated every day, all the time, all around us. Every social media exchange, every digital process, systems, sensors, mobile devices, all transmitted. And they talk about it arriving from multiple sources at alarming velocity, volume, and variety. And you have to have optimal processing, powers, and analytics to extract value from it. And then Amazon says it's the data management challenges that, due to increasing volume, velocity, and variety, can't be solved with traditional databases. So you notice in a couple of these definitions, they use a bunch of V words over and over again: velocity, volume, and variety. Well, those are the three V's of big data. Those are the three dimensions, properties, vectors of big data, if you will. So volume, that's the amount of data. Your data's coming from a lot of different sources. You probably have a lot in your data center, and more is being generated every single day. Variety, those are the different types of data. So you've got structured, unstructured, multi-structured, we'll talk about that later. It's all being collected and created. And then velocity, that's how fast the data is coming in. Unstructured data grows at a faster rate than traditional tabular data. And you have to figure out how to collect it, manage it, and make it useful to your organization. There are a couple, or 3 or 4 other big words that other organizations have added, other than these 3 that everybody agrees upon. One is veracity, which is the accuracy or quality of your data. Can you trust the data? I mean, there's all sorts of reasons for not trusting the quality of your data, user error, stuff like that. There's value. All of this data has to create value for your organization, and that's analysis. And then variability, which is different from variety. Variety is the different types of data. Variability means that it's the same data, but the meaning changes. Kind of like in a tweet, if you were analyzing a tweet, that's unstructured data. The same word can mean different things based upon the context, and that's hard to analyze it. All right. So, what makes up big data? Structured data, that's your traditional relational database data, your financial transactions, your sales transactions, your legacy apps. It has a high degree of organization, and it comes from interactions between people and machines. Whereas unstructured data isn't easily organized, and it's usually very text-heavy. Email, metadata, talk about social media posts, tweets, but it can also be streaming data like audio, video, photos, got GPS, ADL up here, RFID. There was also mentioned on past slide multi-structured data. That's a combination of a variety of data formats. It can be your traditional structured data combined with audio and visual things. Kind of weblog data is a good example of that. Okay, so how can big data, what can big data do for local government? So I went around and found some examples, and I'm going to ask you guys for any examples that you have and how you're using big data. But one, it can improve decision making. So you have these streaming analytics tools that can process decisions more quickly. So instead of avoiding a decision or pushing it down the road or just making a long shot guess, some of these analytic tools can help you turn around that decision making time quicker. Some examples, in the aftermath of the Boston Marathon bombing, law enforcement agencies analyzed over 480,000 images looking for anomalies and patterns. And that ability, that tech, combined with some good suspect descriptions, allowed them to look through that and rapidly analyze those images. And they were also able to automate the screening of sensory info and look for criminal behavior, and it reduced the time to decision in analyzing that, and reduce the number of people that had to touch the data and look at it. In LA, they're using multiple sources of data to develop a street-by-street cleanliness assessment system, and that's helping them make decisions about where to more effectively deploy their city sanitation resources. It can also help you improve operational efficiencies. So it can help you look at these past decisions, understand where you've made mistakes, and correct those in the future. So LA's got water and energy data that they use to identify city properties that may be wasting resources, and then they can launch an efficiency audit. Miami-Dade County, Florida is using smart metering to monitor water consumption and identify water leaks. And Bexar County, Texas, and this is especially interesting, I thought they're using big data analytics to help reduce their local jail population, and it's saving them millions of dollars. They're doing that by having a dashboard that helps the court clerks identify more quickly who needs to be put on the court docket and who's ready to be transferred to state prison and things like that, rather than the backlog that's created by them combing through a bunch of paperwork and doing things by hand. And then transparency and citizen engagement. Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I'm sure they're not the only one, this is just one example of them allowing interactive experience for users to drill down into specific financial data. So if you can make data available to the public, you offer data as a service as a result. Chicago does that. Winston, we're starting to do that as well. Offer citizens open data so that they can create public services themselves in the form of apps. So like in Chicago, citizens have created apps to show which streets have been cleaned of snow after a snowstorm, what time the bus or train will arrive, stuff like that. So that transparency of open data and allowing citizens to engage and create value themselves. So that's what big data can do for local government, but what about all of the issues surrounding big data, the challenges? Things like inadequate processing, the need to analyze the data, identify the right data, how to use it. There have to be actionable insights into the data. These are complex and large data sets. You might have a lack of talent within your agency, a lack of training. Scalability, you need to be able to scale up and down quickly. We mentioned data quality before, user input errors, duplicate data, incorrect data. There's data security, cost management. It's difficult to scale up and down, and it's difficult to, you quickly scale and it eats up resources. So how do we get around all of these challenges of big data? Well, it is a big elephant. It's big, it's an elephant. You can't eat it all at once, so you've heard that expression. You have to eat it one bite at a time. So you need a strategy. We'll talk about that. You need a roadmap. You need friends. And you need a big fork. That's not literal, of course. That's a little metaphor. All right. So big data strategy. No matter what your size, you need a big data strategy. Understand your data. Know and understand your data. So ask yourself these questions. Who owns the data? What information does it contain? Is it high quality? Is it accurate? Or like I said, is it duplicate? Is it error prone? The security issue we just talked about, does it need to be protected? Where is the data? Where are you located? Is it in your data center? Is it with another agency? Is it in the cloud? How large are your databases? And do you have standards around your data and your metadata? And know and understand your data architecture. How does your data flow through your infrastructure? What are your data governance policies? What are your security measures? Are you thinking about storage and processor growth when you do capacity planning? How do you share and retrieve data from other sources? Do you do on-demand downloads, automated updates? Then you need a roadmap. So identify your potential use cases based on your situation, your inventory, your access to data sets, and come up with your potential use cases. Some examples: public safety enhancements, transparency, like we just talked about, citizen engagement, operational efficiency, economic development, cost reduction. Then develop a plan for your data warehouse. So a small warehouse can be just as effective as a big warehouse. It's not how much information you have, it's how you use it. Like I said before, it's not how big, it's how you use it. So every situation is different. So look at your potential use cases, and then you have to ask yourself, what does my data warehouse need to look like for my potential use cases? And then how big of a gap you have between where you are now and where you need to be to address your potential use cases. Work with your business units, your agency management, and your elected officials. So you can partner with your business units, your departments, and then look how other government agencies are using big data for those areas. Internet of Things, geospatial, social media, video center. Look at your city county strategic plan and match your data sets to their directives and initiatives. Like any good strategic plan, look at what's above you, look at your city county strategic plan, and try to align this to that, your big data roadmap to that. And then for the items, for the enhancements that you make to data and infrastructure, prepare to articulate that return on investment and link them to those items championed by your elected officials so you can get buy-in. And then, we mentioned before, lack of training, lack of talent. You've got to train and recruit your staff. This isn't typical DBA work. There are programming languages involved, like Julia, Python, R, anything Hadoop related. sequel, scale and go. The quantitative mathematics involved, like multivariable calculus, probability, statistics, and then the blend of art and science that is data interpretation. So you have to learn to think outside of the traditional reporting and dashboard. You need friends, and this here at Nickel-Jesus is a good place to start. So that's up there. IT peer groups like Nickel-Jesus look at academic partners, especially the university level, private sector partners. There are some companies here like Splunk, I don't know who else is here at the conference that can give you more information and help. Other agencies, nonprofits, search out grants and philanthropic initiatives. Be creative, be innovative with that. And you need a big fork that is figurative. Keep pushing and prodding because it's only going to get bigger. You look for quick wins to show value. And break down your information silos between yourself and other agencies, but also within your agency yourself, between departments. Start to share and strengthen your data governance policies and practices. All right, so now we're going to look at some big data in action. City of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chattadata. Now I just think that's really clever naming. I don't know who came up with that. Oh, hey, look, we got some new different. So looks like they have some categories here: safer streets, economy, stronger neighborhoods, stronger students, families, outgoing government. We'll just click on some of these and see. This is their performance dashboard. Looks like they, let's see, they want to reduce violent crime, let's see that.
This one's a change.
Interesting. So how do I get that to look? Any idea from anybody in the back there who runs this area? How do you get it to show my screen on here? Because it only wants to show presentation.
Try to stop in
Which is
PowerPoint.
interesting. Yeah, PowerPoint is not running anymore. How do I get it to show?
while he's working on that, I have a question for you.
Sure, go ahead. I might be able to answer it,
Okay.
if not, though.
What role or how difficult is it to get into AI and machine learning to help you analyze or help you build analysis? Because just the thought of trying to program something like that is a little daunting if you've never had any experience in it.
And neither do I, so I imagine it's pretty difficult. Anybody answer his question?
Sorry.
Again, I probably have not very much advance on y'all about all this, so my apologies. So I'll go back screen. This is Chattanooga. All right, Chattanooga. Safer streets, growing economy, stronger neighborhoods. So I clicked on reduce violent crime. Yeah, and it looks like they need to update their goal, but they had a goal of reducing violent crime by 20% by June 30th, 2016. Probably a little ambitious, but okay, I used to work at a police department. Seems ambitious, but anyway. Robberies, they have a graph here, part 1 violent crimes. You can explore the data. I imagine you can probably go out and look it somewhere. That's going on to another site. Let's look at, we want to help kids learn to read. Improve literacy. 52% of students. They wanted to increase the number of their students reading at grade level. So they wanted to set a goal of 60% reading at grade level. Looks like they're close. You can kind of see their chart here, they're measuring their data. Looks like they've kind of had some wild fluctuations there. With that, just some different data to explore. Let's see if we can go back to PowerPoint. So here's something I know more about. City of Winston-Salem open data. This is fairly new for us. Launched in the past few months, and it's really a soft launch. It's not something that we've really started advertising yet because it's still being worked on and it's still being added to. We've got 4 different, and it's still, again, not showing. Nope, wrong button because I can't see. Yeah. Okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. So we have an open data site. Any questions? Unless somebody wants to come here and fix it again. I'm about done. So that's frustrating.
Can you talk about what those 4 buttons represent?
So they're different skins. They're commercial, residential, developer, citizen. So there's a citizen portal for stuff that citizens want to look at. Developer, people who want to come in and develop within our community. Then there's commercial real estate, residential real estate. So like commercial real estate, they might want to know about building permits. What's the last permitted use of the building? That's a really big thing. Floodplains. If they're trying to decide where to put something, there you go. Thank you. All right. So, commercial real estate. This is all built using Esri tools by our in-house developers. So you can enter an address and go somewhere, or we can zoom in, and you get legends. So you get zoning, flood hazard, floodplains, building permits, county line stuff. You can look at it on the map, or you can look at it, so there's some information about that. You can look at it in the attribute table. You can look at landmarks, national register districts, fire zones, zoning, average daily traffic counts, that might be important to a commercial developer. What's your traffic gonna look like? Parcel data, log data, stuff like that. And you can draw, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with this. Citizen portal. It's got things like schools and parks and fire stations, homeless shelters. I think we thought about putting food banks on here. You know, soup kitchens, rec centers, greenways, stuff that might be important to our citizens that they might want to use. It's a school, it's a rec center. Again, you can look at it, you can download this in CSV file, you can filter it, you can sort it. Residential real estate. Very similar to the citizens. If you wanted to look for a house, fire stations, schools, rec centers, parks, things like that. And developers. This is based on, we worked a lot with our city county planning board and with outside developers within the community to find out really what they're looking for data-wise from the site. So it's been a real collaboration, and it's still being added to, especially this one, as to what we're gonna end up with. Like I said, it's still a bit of a soft launch and kind of get out there and figure out what we need before we start advertising it to our citizens. It is out there on the webpage right now, but you have to kind of look for it and know it's there. So that's our open data portal, just launched within the last few months. We call it the Online Information Center. I kid the staff that did this, because I said, isn't every website an online information center? It's just the most generic title you could probably ever come up with, in my opinion, but, okay. That's how we refer to it. I think this is better to call it Open Winston Zone, that's probably a better name up here. All right, does anybody else have, this is the point I wanted to ask you guys, if you have any examples of ways that you're using open data within your communities, within your agencies, does anybody want to share? Open data, big data?
We purchased a subscription with OpenGov, and it allows you to publish like financial reports, like your budget or whatever you want to put out there to the public. And you can also create financial reports or even non-financial data to staff inside. So that's a nice tool that end users can use very quickly.
Awesome. Anybody else want to share?
We have a current project that's not complete, actually, we're just starting now, and it's around the opioid epidemic. What they're going to do is consolidate information from arrests, from overdoses, saves, whenever they save someone using narco, from the EMS data, and possibly even arrest data for drugs that are gateway drugs to opioid, like the Oxycontin and things like that. And that way, be able to put that on like you present a lot of your data in GIS, but present that in a GIS map at the hotspot, so they can be more targeted in their responses, both from a health department standpoint and a law enforcement standpoint.
Anybody else?
I know we're exploring the open data and just getting into that, but we've had had something, I guess it would be similar to it with Police to Citizen, where the reports basically are online now. So you have a traffic accident, and the police will go in, they do their report at a certain time after they've done their report, then put it on to the court and stuff like that. And then you don't even have to go to the police department to get a copy of your report for your insurance or whoever. They can download it themselves. So it's, I guess it's close, but I don't know if it's exactly like that, but it's, I think it's in the same ballpark.
Yeah, we have something similar in our police department, Police to Citizen, and they've had that for a while, and it's mapped, it shows calls for service and incidents, it strips identifying information, of course, because it's public, but you can search around an address. It's a little kludgy, it probably needs to be updated, because it's been there for a while, but, you do have that too. That's good. Of course, not all people really know it's there or want to use it, so.
We get a lot of traffic
Still-
off of that. That, I mean, as we develop it, we get into the putting our financials online, like the budget and that kind of thing. I think it'll just explode, expand, just work.
Anybody else have anything they want to share about what your agency's doing? Or what you're thinking about doing? All right.
I guess one of the things, a comment, maybe actually,
Yeah.
is that, you know, in this presentation of what we had done with the city, on the city list, so, I was just thinking here, you know, we're sort of thinking about our customers. But as listening to what Ashley said earlier, one of the things that we can also think about is what data do we have internally that may start helping us be better prepared, like if you have help desk issues. And start analyzing, I mean, we've got all this data, right? You have all these help desk tickets, and maybe start doing some analysis on them, and it could be more seasonal, you know, when you have the tax season or whatever. And just ways of looking at data is at our disposal also internally, and how can we start analyzing that data and make it really work for us, like we need to know something to do. But I think, you know, time has elapsed, and we have all this data. We have volumes of data now, that not just for the customers, the citizens, but it could help us also. We could create our own output, you know, and start helping some of the other departments or even ourselves as we figure out how to make big data work in our organizations. Do something maybe internally that doesn't have to get all of this political exposure and approvals, that once you can showcase that, then you can get some of the departments and maybe help fund some of it. It's an idea.
Great comment. Do I have anything else? Comments? That's pretty much it. This is a short presentation. Here's some references for the stuff that Nancy put on this PowerPoint. That's it. Unless you guys have any questions or additional comments or things you want to share. So you can get out of here and put your names in the bowl.